Hi there, this is WheatDraws. You may know me as the guy who does a lot of the written and drawn concepts for Dead by Daylight. And this is a video just going over my general design overview and process featuring the Alien chapter that I did in collaboration with Rare Links. Just some behind the scenes on this. When I saw their, I'm just gonna pause it right here real quick. When I saw their Springtrap lobby concept using my icons, I was blown away. It was incredible. I got into contact with them. I asked them to credit in the video for all the sources they used, and they were super nice about it. I was worried I might have come off a little weird, and I said I would love to work with them on a future project. And a few days after that post became incredibly popular on the subreddit for Dead by Daylight. We started talking about working on a chapter concept, and we wanted to do Alien. And I had an old concept laying around for Alien that I never got around to because at the time I wasn't sure if I wanted to do Alien because it was something that I couldn't really demonstrate. And a lot of people would have expected, oh, I want a facehugger, I want an Alien chest burster to more survivors for me. And so I had this concept sitting around, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And originally we were planning to do this within a month's time frame, because we both had things on our plates. I had a commission work to finish and other projects to catch up on. And I believe Rare Things had classes and personal life things to deal with. So I was fine. I was fine waiting a month. Little did I know I would finish writing out that concept within a couple days, I believe, and I had it finalized, and then I did the icons in another couple days right after that. I think maybe a day, actually. So I basically speed ran it, and we got it and I got it finished, and Rare Things seemed to have the same idea because they immediately had it done within a couple days, and we just got it finished almost immediately. It was insane. First Encounter Assault here. Amazing channel. Tons of themes, chase music, just for Dead by Daylight. Things that you wouldn't even think of that are just incredible works. Please go check them out as well. The Alien assets from Gearbox Software, from Alien Colonial Marines, I believe. Same with sound effects. And then Dead by Daylight assets, of course, Behavior Interactive. This was an incredible project to work on. It was insane. I wish I recorded my reaction to it firsthand. Just seeing the chapter come out, reacting to the footage, it was pretty surreal. Let's continue with this video. So this is by far one of the coolest main menus that I've seen, and I'm so excited for it. And this music timing blew me away when I first saw it. Insanely impressive. For the Alien, personally I like the name the Xenomorph better. We never really agreed on one, but I think either one really works. I think Alien's more recognizable. I wrote this little descriptor here. Was incredibly satisfied with it. I believe the bio here is straight from the Wikipedia page. Here we get an overview of all the abilities. I actually want to go back and sort of talk these over if you would like to listen. Lethal Lifeform. Lethal Lifeform was an ability that I liked the idea of, but the issue was that there was too many things in the game as is that were too similar. A lot of people drew comparisons between Lethal Lifeform and Legion's Feral Frenzy or Blight's I think it's Blighted Corruption, something like that. The Rush ability. The power is called something different, where the ability is called something different, similar to this here. I actually personally consider Lethal Lifeform to be more of an evolution of Pig's Ambush Dash, because it's one of my favorite things about the Pig's kit, but it's so underutilized and just not supported at all, outside of maybe 4 add-ons, I think. For example, Lethal Lifeform, what you'll see later in the gameplay demo is we shortened the cooldown of the power from 50 seconds to 35 in order to keep it concise and straight to the point when we did do the video. So it's not as broken as it looks in the video. That's just for demonstration purposes of how it would work in concept. Uh, what is king is essentially the text. If there's something that's a little weird that looks different from the text to the video, the text is the initial intended version. The visual is to help you realize what it actually does. And it does it to such great effect. Like Rare Things absolutely knocked it out of the park with this. Even the small details of like having the attraction and the plague on the sides of the character info menu. So for example, I wanted a killer who could strike from the shadows at a very fast rate, barrel through multiple survivors if they could, and also have a sort of hunting ability as part of their kit. There's a few things I ended up accidentally not being able to translate well that I've seen from people's responses to the video, such as the skulk ability. So you press and hold the power button and release while the power gauge is full. Once it's full, you can only use it then. So that's a full 50-second cooldown once it ends to begin skulking. Press and hold again to deactivate, which depletes power gauge by 20%. So it's sort of a penalty for not using it fully, or not actually using it and just deactivating it. So you can't just spam in and out of it, similar to, say, Wraith Bell. Or I had another killer power in mind, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. While skulking, the Xenomorph gains the following benefits. Vaulting speed is 15% faster, so bamboozle speed automatically applied, so you can slip through pretty easily by default. Survivors within 32 meters of you hear a distant tear radius, and then you are undetectable. So the reason that's worded that way is that you're undetectable, your normal tear radius is not heard. However, survivors within 32 meters of you, regardless of whether your tear radius is actually on or not, which it shouldn't be while you're skulking, hear a distant one, similar to Doctor's add-on effects where in Madness, survivors can hear a distant tear radius. That was the idea. I've had people say that second ability doesn't work because of undetectable, which, yes, but if you read it, it does work the way it's intended. The idea is that it's not as overpowered from a stealth perspective because of the massive rush ability it has, and the fact that you can almost always tell that it's somewhere nearby, so you have a general idea of where it could be, or try to figure out where it is. Your basic attack is replaced with a Maiming Rake. I didn't want you to swing out of stealth like that, so I gave it a special effect, which I'll be honest, it's only named Maiming Rake because I like the words rake and maim, and I wanted one of them to work, and two of them worked fine. Special ability, Hunt. While press the active ability button while skulking causes the Xenomorph to heighten its awareness, detecting life forms nearby with sudden ease. So this was a way to make the idea of being hunted by the Xenomorph, by a creature, more interesting on the survivor side. So what would happen is that you would activate it and it would consume 30% of your power gauge, which would be about 3 seconds at base of your total Maiming Rake distance, or duration, I guess. And it briefly detects all survivors within that distant tear radius, so 32 meters. They get highlighted with Killer Instinct for 5 seconds. And then each of those survivors hear a hissing audio cue as if the Xenomorph was like near them. So you can use that to kind of lure people out or scare people away, or just find them in general. It's incredibly useful. I feel like it's something that, because you can only use it once per activation, it's a very decisive ability. You have to know when to use it, similar to Doctor's Static Blast as well. Activating Hunt also slows you. Activating Hunt slows you briefly. Special attack, Maiming Rake. This is the one that a lot of people said was absolutely broken. It wasn't fair. It was too OP. One of my favorite Reddit comments was, he's too OP. It has like -8 upvotes, but I upvoted the shit out of it because it was hilarious. So while you hold the power button, you hold the power button and then press the attack button to initiate Maiming Rake. It can also be initiated by pressing and holding the attack button while skulking. So while you're charging the skulk, you can then, instead of going straight into stealth, you can use Maiming Rake. So you don't have to be, you don't have to have skulk active. You just have to have any charge amount of Maiming Rake ready to do the rushed ability. In the video, it will demonstrate. It will be harder. It'll be almost immediate. There's no wind up. Ideally, there will be a wind up or a preparation as soon as you go into skulk or you activate Maiming Rake. You can use the out of skulking, which keeps you undetectable, and you just basically make big, loud footsteps along the way. The Xenomorph holds its claws out of the side and charges forward, able to rush and steer itself within any creatures within its path. Similar to Oni, with a similar amount of control, maybe a bit more. No, actually more just about Oni's path control. And if you come into contact with any survivors, it will injure them. Colliding with the environment will also briefly stun you and then end Maiming Rake. So it's similar to Blight, where it ends when you hit a collision, it ends sort of like Demo's shred ability. You can hit multiple survivors, so you can just cleave straight through them. It can't hit the same one because of the way iframes work. Effectively, it's good at closing distance, similar to Blight, or just closing distance in general. You can use this in multiple ways. Distance for damage, etc. It does have a long cooldown, but although I will say it's better for getting a sort of pseudo extended lunge out of the effect instead of using it at loops, for example. Some killers can't use their power at loops. Demogorgon is infamous for the fact that his shred is fun to use, but not exactly worthwhile at certain spots. Then there's the duration is based on the remainder of the power gauge. 10% equals 1 second duration. Of course, had I made add-ons, there would be things affecting different parts of this, probably affecting different aspects or values throughout this ability. That's how it works. The video does a great job explaining it. I figured as part of making this video that maybe me giving my input on it would help explain it a bit more in more detail, my intentions. So this first perk, Isolating Dread, was earlier on, what it would do is any survivors within your tear radius would cause the blindness status effect in Oblivious. And then naturally I realized that doesn't work, because as soon as they get in your tear radius, they're oblivious, they're no longer in your tear radius. So there has to be duration. And then the blindness status effect I ended up reusing for my alien concept on a perk that I believe is Incomprehensible Presence, where you are blind while within the tear radius of the killer, and then if you cleanse a Hex Totem or Dull Totem, covers the whole map. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I looked at that. But now what it does is after you hit them and you're still in chase with them, they have the blind and oblivious status effect, two of my favorite status effects that are rarely used, as long as they are being chased, and then for an additional handful of seconds after the chase ends, so they can stay on edge and fear that you might be nearby. I like this perk. It's not exactly the best, but it's pretty interesting. Out of Sight. Early on, this had the Bamboozle speed buff, and then I had a weaker version of that Bamboozle speed buff, and there was no cooldown on it originally, and I realized that's kind of dumb. So I figured what would be a fair compromise, and then I just gave it 15 seconds duration flat. It used to scale, and I figured the cooldown just scaling down to basically 30 seconds, which would be double the duration, should be fine. You can combo with Bamboozle, of course, if you want faster vault. This is like the one perk that combos really well with the killer themselves, because of the Skulk speed boost as well. When you crawl through a window or a vault, you do it immediately faster, so you can get this activated even that much sooner. And then the quote, of course, is from Ash, which I felt was fitting. And then Hex Stowaway is one of my favorite designs that I've ever done for this type of thing. Hex Stowaway is a design space that I always loved when Haunted Grounds was introduced, and when it was reinvited with Hex Retribution, where once the totem is cleansed, there's a trap, there's something that triggers, and it's a detriment to the survivors themselves. So whenever you gain the undetectable status effect, if there is a Dull Totem remaining on the map, this hex is applied to it and cannot occur again for another 40, 30, 20 seconds. So People assume this would work really well with Mirror Myers. It does not, because Mirror Myers only has one instance of ever getting the undetectable status effect, which is at the very start of the trial. It would work really well with Wraith. It would work really well with Ghostface. It would work really well with Tinkerer. Like anything that would apply the status effect to you for any reason. That was the idea of it. And then in Festus a Totem, there can be any number of them. So ideally, you would run this by itself, or alongside something like Haunted Grounds, or even Undying. Or you could use this even as a secondary protection to Ruin, if that so pleases you. But it's sort of a niche perk that I feel like is something that's fun to use. However, it's hard to tell when it's ever been activated, or like there's no feedback, similar to perks like Starstruck. You don't get a feedback if it actually worked or if someone's affected by it. But I think it's an incredibly interesting design space that I wish Dead by Daylight would use more, and I hope to see more trapped hex totems in the future. And then I believe we go straight into the gameplay. There's warning flashing lights. This was really cool to see first time through, by the way. I'm a huge fan of these names that Rare Things has implemented. So this is the old Macmillan Groaning Storehouse map. So you have undetectable status effect going off right now. Then you have some great chase music from First Encounter Assault going on. So initially, when you use Skulk, ideally there would be a small charge or wind up before you actually get to use Shred, or you're maiming a Rake. And this is for gameplay purposes. It's not supposed to be completely accurate. It's supposed to get the idea across. And again, these aren't like highly trained survivors. These are just general like bots. Like they're there to help showcase what this idea is. And also the map is incredibly open. If you notice, there's a ton of gaps in these loops here, which helps with the steering and helps with the movement and freedom. And even now, like how much time we've sat walking around waiting for the power to recharge because of how long the cooldown is. It's supposed to be even longer. And then here, normally you would see the Skulk animation, and then you would have the Hunt, and it's already depleted the power gauge, as you can see down below. And then turns over here, goes to find Claudette. Claudette's just hiding there. And then you maim Rake again. There you go, and you see it deplete as you go further. That's pretty much it. In retrospect, I would have probably applied a I would have applied a penalty to hitting a survivor, maybe subtracting a full second or 10% from the power, so you don't get to use it as long after hitting someone. But I'm incredibly satisfied with it. I think for the most part, people who actually looked into the power and saw what it could do in a real game realize it's not too incredibly insane to think about. It's incredibly doable. It's not the best power out there. And even then, it's a new type of stealth ambush killer that has much more distance to use with and is much more in the theme of something lurking in the shadows ready to strike at you. And I appreciate the people who have noticed all of the interesting little design decisions I've made. I've seen so many videos on this, like almost obsessively, and I'm incredibly glad to see people sort of realize what I went for without having to say it outright. Yeah, I hope this wasn't too much of a ramble and it was fairly interesting to hear. I look forward to doing many more partnerships with Rare Things. Where able, please keep a lookout and go subscribe to their channel so you can stay up to date with the official videos. And please go subscribe to First Encounter Assault for the amazing chase music and lobby music that we've used in these concepts. And I hope to see you guys sometime soon. You can find me active on Twitter mostly. That'll be a link as well in the description. I'll be at WheatDraws, just that simply. And I mostly just retweet art, shit post, try to signal boost things that I support, and just talk about things that I like and things and things I don't like Dead by Daylight. All right. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your time. Take care.